Let me set the scene for you. It was a Saturday night. Warm lights, loud music, drinks flowing, we're laughing. The kind of party where everyone feels a little too comfortable. Sarah and Mike had been married for 4 years. To everyone outside, they looked perfect. Good jobs, nice house, friends always around. But inside their marriage, something had been broken for a long time. Sarah loved attention, not in a bad way at first. She just liked being liked. She liked when men noticed her. And Mike, he was the quiet type. Hard work, loyal. The kind of guy who would never shout at you even when he had every right to. That night, their next door neighbor, guy named Chris, showed up. Chris was the classic handsome neighbor, fit, funny, and way too comfortable around married women. Sarah had always enjoyed Chris's attention. Little texts here and there, laughing a bit too hard at his jokes. Mike noticed. Of course, he noticed. But every time he tried to bring it up, Sarah would roll her eyes and say, "You are being insecure again. He is just a friend." And that is the first problem right there. When your partner tells you something hurts them, you don't get to decide if it hurts or not. But Sarah never learned that. So the party is going. People are dancing in the living room. Someone brought a karaoke machine. The whole street is basically inside their house. And Sarah is wearing this red dress. The one Mike told her made him uncomfortable around other men. She wore it anyway. She said it made her feel confident. And look, confidence is great. But there is a fine line between feeling good about yourself and disrespecting the person you promised to love. About an hour into the party, Sarah and Chris are standing by the kitchen counter. They are close, too close. Chris has his hand on her lower back. Sarah is touching his arm every time she laughs. Mike is sitting on the couch just 20 feet away. He sees everything. His friends see it too. One of them even whispers, "Dude, is she okay?" Mike just takes a long sip of his drink and says nothing. That is the thing about quiet people. You think they don't care, but really, they are just counting. Then it gets worse. Chris says something in Sarah's ear. She laughs so hard she leans into him. And then she looks at Mike, right in the eyes. And she winks. She actually winks at her husband while another man's hand is on her back. That is when Mike stands up. He walks over slowly. No yelling, no drama. He just says, "Can I talk to you for a second?" Sarah looks at him like he just interrupted the most important moment of her life. She says, "What? We are just talking, relax." Mike says it again, quieter this time. "Please, just come with me for 1 second." And here is where Sarah makes a choice that changes everything. Instead of walking away with her husband, she turns to Chris and says, "He gets so jealous over nothing." Then she looks back at Mike and says, "Go sit down. I am an adult. I can talk to whoever I want." Mike nods. He does not argue. He does not cause a scene. He just turns around and walks upstairs. Everyone assumes he is going to the bathroom or to cool off. But no, he goes to the bedroom. He pulls out a suitcase, and he starts packing, quietly like he had been planning this for months. In fact, he had started noticing the signs a long time ago. The late-night texts from Chris that Sarah said were just memes. The way she would get dressed up to go check the mail when Chris was outside. The way she stopped calling Mike by his pet names and started calling him bro in front of other people. Small things, but small things add up. Downstairs, Sarah's having the time of her life. She thinks she won. She thinks she put her husband in his place. She is dancing, drinking, taking pictures with Chris. One of her friends pulls her aside and says, "You should go check on Mike. He looked upset." Sarah waves her hand and says, "He will get over it. He always does." And that right there is the death sentence of a marriage. When one person starts believing that their partner will always forgive them, no matter what, respect dies slowly at first. Then all at once, 20 minutes later, Mike comes back down the stairs. But he is not wearing the same shirt. He has changed into a plain black t-shirt and jeans. He is holding a small bag and his car keys. The music is still loud. Most people do not even notice him. But Sarah notices. She looks at the bag, then at his face. and for the first time that night, she looks scared. She walks over to him and says, "What are you doing?" Mike looks at her. No anger in his eyes. No sadness either. Just peace. The kind of peace you feel when you finally decide to stop hurting yourself for someone who doesn't care. He says, "I am leaving." Sarah laughs. She actually laughs. She says, "You are not leaving. Where are you going to go? This is your house too." Mike puts his keys in his pocket and says, "I will send someone for the rest of my stuff tomorrow." And then he turns to the party, raises his voice just enough for everyone to hear, and says, "Thank you all for coming. Please lock the door when you leave." And he walks out. The room goes silent. Sarah stands there with her mouth open. Chris slowly backs away and pretends to check his phone. Classic. Sarah runs to the door and screams Mike's name, but his car is already backing out of the driveway. He does not even look back. Now here is where the story gets really interesting. Sarah spends the next 2 hours calling and texting Mike. 27 missed calls, 41 texts, everything from "come back" to "you are overreacting" to "you are such a babe." Mike reads none of them. He is already at his brother's house, drinking a beer on the couch, feeling lighter than he has in years. The next morning, Sarah shows up at his brother's door, crying, begging, saying she is sorry. She says she did not mean it. She says she was just drunk. She says she loves him. Mike opens the door, hands her a piece of paper, and closes it again. The paper? Divorce papers. He had them ready for 3 weeks. That is the part Sarah never saw coming. While she was out there collecting attention from other men, Mike was quietly meeting with a lawyer, getting his finances in order, finding a place to stay. He gave her one last chance that night at the party, when he asked her to come talk to him privately. That was the test, and she failed it in front of everyone. Now, let me tell you why the story hits so hard for so many people. Because it is not just about cheating, it is about respect. You can flirt, you can make mistakes, but when your partner tells you that something is hurting them, and you laugh in their face, you are not just hurting them, you are telling them that their feelings do not matter. And once that line is crossed, most marriages never come back from it. Studies actually back this up. Relationship experts have found that contempt is the #1 predictor of divorce. Not fighting, not money problems. Contempt, rolling your eyes, laughing at your partner's pain, acting like they are being silly for having feelings. That is what kills love faster than anything else. And Sarah showed contempt for Mike in front of all their friends, all their neighbors, and the one man she knew made him uncomfortable. Some of you might be thinking, was Mike too harsh? Should he have given her one more chance? Let me ask you this. How many chances is too many? Because Sarah had already crossed the line dozens of times. Mike had talked to her calmly, privately, more than once. He had told her that her friendship with Chris made him feel disrespected. And every single time, Sarah called him insecure. She told him to grow up. She told him she was just being friendly. That is not a marriage anymore. That is a prison where one person gets to do whatever they want, and the other person just has to swallow their feelings. 6 months after that night, the divorce was finalized. Mike kept the house. Sarah moved to a smaller apartment across town. And guess what? Chris never called her again. Shocking, right? The guy who was happy to flirt with a married woman disappeared the second she was single. That happens almost every time. The attention she thought was so valuable meant nothing to the people giving it. They just liked the game. They never wanted her. Mike, on the other hand, is doing great. He started going to the gym. He reconnected with old friends. He even started dating someone new. Someone who actually listens when he speaks. Someone who would never make him feel small in a room full of people. And Sarah, last I heard, she still tells people that her ex-husband overreacted. She still says it was just one mistake. She still does not get it. And that is the saddest part of this whole story. Some people will lose something amazing, and they will spend the rest of their lives blaming everyone except themselves. So here is what you need to take away from this. First, respect is not optional in a relationship. You can love someone and still disrespect them, and disrespect left unchecked will kill love every single time. Second, Just because someone is quiet does not mean they are weak. Mike did not scream. He did not hit anyone. He did not call Sarah names. He just left. And that is way more powerful than any loud argument could ever be. Third, if your partner tells you something hurts them, do not argue. Do not roll your eyes. Do not compare. Just listen. Because one day, they might stop telling you. And that is when you have already lost them. Before you go, I have a question for you. Would you have left the party the way Mike did? Or would you have stayed and tried to fix it? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to see another story about a marriage that ended in the most unexpected way, click the video popping up on your screen right now. Trust me, you do not want to miss this one.